6 Tea Party tips, and I'm so excited to share this video with you guys because so many of you have requested it, and I know that I watched tons of these when I found out what my role was, and I'm so excited to share with you my experience in custodial. So with that, let's get started in the video. Many of you may know that I participated in the fall 2016 program as a custodian in Epcot's World Showcase. So I was there for about 5 months, and custodial is a pretty simple job, so it doesn't take long to get the hang of it. So I'm excited to share everything that I learned about the role and answer a lot of you guys' questions. So with that, we're gonna start on our first topic. So first off, we're gonna go over the department that custodial falls in, and that's the operations department. And Disney's role description of operation cast members is to help ensure that our guests have enjoyable experiences while visiting our theme parks. Operation cast members have a direct impact on our guests' experiences. And so 3 of the main roles that fall under the operations department are attractions, custodial, and PhotoPass. So we're going to focus on custodial obviously today because that is what I did. So we're going to go over some of what Disney says that your duties are as a custodial cast member. And that is high guest interaction, cleaning, sweeping, mopping, working with chemicals, emptying trash, driving pargo carts, vacuum, dusting, cleaning pool decks, providing info to guests, and working outdoors and standing for long periods of time. So now that we've kind of covered the ground of what Disney defines custodial as, we're going to start talking about my experience and what it was like to be a custodian inside the Disney parks. There are 2 spots that you can be placed as a custodian. You can either be placed in a theme park or you can be placed in a resort. Like I said earlier, I was placed in Epcot World Showcase, so I worked in a theme park, so I know how that system works a little bit better. So we're gonna go over that first. Basically, you're assigned one of the 4 parks. Then within each park, there can be different areas that you'll cover. So for example, Epcot was split into 2 different areas. There was Future World area and the World Showcase. So I only got assigned shifts ever into the World Showcase. Other people, like my friend Cameron, was assigned to Future World, so he only ever had shifts assigned to him in Future World. I know Magic Kingdom also breaks theirs up into areas. I believe it's by land, so they have like Main Street, Fantasyland. So that's kind of how it works with parks. So with resorts, I'm not exactly sure if they break it up into areas, but I know that you are assigned one specific resort in which you will be working in. So even though you are assigned to one specific area in a specific park, you are universally trained, which that is one big pro about custodial, is that even though I was assigned Epcot World Showcase, I could pick up anywhere within the Walt Disney World Resort. That is something that I loved because if you ever did get tired of your area, then you had the ability to be able to pick up other shifts anywhere else that you would want to work. Alright, so for the parks, the costumes are all the same no matter which park you are in or which area you're stationed within that park. So I'll post a picture right here of me in my costume. But like you can see, it is all white with a little hint of maroon, and you're wearing black shoes that Disney provides for you, which is nice. Disney will provide you with your shoes for custodial, so you don't have to worry about that. But I never had any problems with it being all white. I usually just wore neutral underclothing. I didn't find that they were like too see-through. As long as I was wearing like skin tone or like neutral colors, then I was fine. So don't go crazy with your colors underneath because then it would be see-through. But other than that, the costumes were great. I never had any problems wearing a white costume. If you do ever get it dirty from like doing your trash runs or cleaning the bathroom, then you can go talk to a manager and they'll send you back to costuming. And for my location at least, they wouldn't make us clock out to do so, so you were getting paid to do so. So not too bad, right? I actually didn't mind my costume. It was nice because it's hot outside and you're wearing white, and it was good. I'd wake up, I'd get ready in normal clothes, and then I'd change when I got to work in case I was doing anything after. Then I already had a change of clothes. I'd prepare my lunch and dinner because I usually worked through both of those meals and I didn't want to buy meals, so I'd pack them. Then I'd head off to the bus stop and ride TransStar. For Epcot, the C bus takes about 30 minutes to get from Patterson to Epcot, so it wasn't too bad of a bus ride. So I'd get on, ride the bus. Then once I got into Epcot, you walk through and there's the locker rooms and costuming. So then I'd go and check out my costume for the day. I'd grab my pan and broom out of my locker, and then I'd go change into my work clothes. Then you have to take another bus to get to So like if costuming was over here, I worked typically in West, which was over here. So you'd have to take the bus around all the back of the countries to get to where I was to clock in. I'd get in, clock in. So then once I clocked in, I'd go talk to my coordinator and they would give me my assignment and my radio. And there are 2 different shifts that you could be assigned. They're restrooms or streets. So talk about restrooms first. So for a World Showcase, we typically were assigned 2 to 3 different restrooms because they were all smaller that we had to watch over for the day. And when you're over restrooms, you basically circle through the ones that you're in charge of and you go through, you clean all the stalls, you clean the mirrors, you restock everything. And then once that one's clean, you go to the next one and do that one over again. And if all your restrooms are clean, then you usually go and help out on streets with like sweeping and checking trash cans and helping guests with any questions that they may have. And then we'll talk about streets and some of those responsibilities. So I typically worked from Canada down to Morocco in World Showcase. And if we were on streets, we'd be assigned 1 country and we'd have to take care of all the trash cans and all the recycle cans. So you would basically just take out the big barrel and you'd push that around, grab all the trash, can the liners, take it back in the back, dump it out into the compactor, and then if it was like a slower day, then you could go out and pan and broom for a little bit or wipe down cans and help guests, and then before you needed to do another trash run. But if it's busier, then you just take your barrel out all day long and you're doing trash runs, dumping in the compactor, taking it back out, doing that all day long and panning and brooming in between. That is basically how it was. I loved both shifts. If I was having a day where I didn't feel as good, restrooms were nice because there's a supply closet in each restroom that you could just kind of chill out in for a while. And straight shifts were typically more fun because you got to talk to more coworkers and interact with a lot more guests on the streets. You're just up and going all day, and so it helped the day go by a lot faster. And then with Epcot again, I was assigned a break every 2 hours. You would get a 15-minute break every 2 hours except for your lunch, which you would get 30 minutes for, and you had to clock out. So it was pretty good. I always felt like I always had plenty of breaks, which was nice. Another thing that I liked about custodial was I knew when my breaks were gonna happen. So like my coordinator would give me like a little sheet at the beginning of each shift and it would tell me exactly when my breaks were, which was always nice because I know like for quick service, like they don't get assigned ones. It's just like they'll have a breaker and who will come and like say, oh, do you want to go and break now? So like you don't always know when your break is coming. So I liked knowing exactly when I was getting my break. So that was way nice. And then ending the typical day, I would usually be a closer. So I'd get to watch illuminations and then I'd go and finish up my area, whether that was doing my last trash run or cleaning up my bathrooms one last time. And then I'd head home for the night. Alright, and this one I know I was really curious about before. I was always wondering how many hours I was gonna work and how many days, more importantly, how many days I was gonna have off so I could play in the parks. But I really liked custodial for this reason. I typically worked about 5 days a week and I usually hit around 45 hours. When I was on my program, we could give away shifts, so if my hours for that week ever dropped below 45, it was because I chose to give away hours. But yeah, I was typically around 45, so I was getting plenty of hours. And if you're like stressing about not getting enough hours, do not, because you're gonna be wanting more days off. They're gonna be working you as much as you can, and even if like one week you fall shorter than you want, then you can always pick up shifts like on the EHH or something. But like I said, I typically worked 5 days a week, which meant I had 2 days off a week, and those typically ended up being Monday, Tuesday, or Monday and Wednesday. Alright, now I just wanted to give you guys an idea of like what my shift hours were, so I'm going to list off 4 of the most popular shifts that I worked. So 3 of them are closing, and when you get your schedules from Disney, they are going to be in military time. So military time is just 24-hour time. You'll get used to telling it. I actually just changed my phone into that time because I was getting really confused by it. So my typical shift was 13:30 to 22:30, and if some of you are confused by that, that means 1:30 to 10:30 p.m. So that one was probably my most worked. My second most worked shift was 11:30 to 22:30, or 1400 to 2300. And then I only worked a morning shift maybe 3 times throughout my whole program, but I thought I'd throw one of those in there just to give you an idea of what it'd be like to open. And that was from 6:30 a.m. to 15 o'clock. So those are 4 of my most typical shifts. My longest work day was 12 hours, which actually is pretty short, I think, compared to some of my coworkers. I think a few of them actually had to work 14-hour days, especially when the holidays rolled around. And my shortest day was actually 30 minutes. I got what's called an ER. It's called an early release. I wasn't feeling good that day, so my leader sent me home early. Since custodial is a more individual role, a lot of people ask if you are able to create bonds with you and your coworkers as well as your leaders, and I say yes. I definitely was able to. Since I was more often than not placed in West, I actually got to know my leaders pretty well. Even though it's an individual based role, they are walking around the areas with you, they're in the office, you're working full-time, they're working full-time, like you guys are always gonna see each other and you can always chat with them. Same things with coordinators and coworkers. Especially you'll get to bond with the CPs because you guys all just kind of, you're in the same boat, so you band together. I took a lot of breaks with my coworkers, and so I was able to form relationships with other CPs that way. There were a few times where after work we all decided we want to go out to eat, so we'd all go do that. So don't worry about that. You're definitely gonna bond with your coworkers and your leaders and everything. Alright, the reality of custodial. Is it all great? A lot of people, you know, say, don't worry about it, it's gonna be good. But I know when I was researching my role, I was so stressed about code Vs. If you don't know what a code V is what we use for vomit when you have to clean that up. So this is called Voban. It's what we put on the code Vs to sweep it up and clean it up. So my task is filling up all of those. And you're working in a theme park, it's probably gonna happen. I was fortunate enough where I only actually had to clean up one code V, and it was basically baby spit up. So I was extremely lucky, and I worked food and wine, so you'll probably be okay. If I got away with working food and wine, only having to actually clean up one real code V, then you'll be fine. Don't stress out too much about it, because reality is that's not all you're gonna be doing. There's gonna be so many more things that you're gonna be doing. That's just a little tiny fraction of your job. So that's good news, right? Now that we've talked about some of the dirt, we get to talk about some of the fun stuff and how you guys get around to doing that. Yes, you're custodial and yes, you're cleaning, but a big part of your job is also guest interacting. Like it said earlier in the operations role description, it said that operation cast members have a direct impact on the guest experiences. And so this is the fun part of our job, and this is where you get to make magic. So one of the things that custodial members get to participate in is pin trading. And one of my questions going into custodial was, how do I get to pin trade? And it's super easy. You just have to talk to your coordinator. So you just ask them, tell them you want to pin trade, and they'll give you a lanyard, or they'll give you a little pouch. I'll actually get that. Alright, so this is my pouch that I had when I was working. We had 8 pins on this at all times, and it was usually nicely put on here. In my location, we actually had a pin can. We had Pinster and Pinaldo, and it was like this trash can that we took out, and 3 of the sides had cork boards and a whole bunch of pins stacked on them, and it was always so fun because there's crowds of kids and even adults would come up and like trade pins with you, and we would typically get to do that for about 20 minutes. Another way that we get to interact and entertain guests is through water art. Basically, just how you go about it is, in my area, is they had a sign up board, and so we just signed that, or just talk to your leaders and see and ask them, and they'll know more information about that, and hopefully they'll actually hold the training for you while you're there. But really the characters aren't that hard to learn. I actually learned a few. I wasn't good per se because I wasn't technically trained in it, and I couldn't do it on stage because of that. You have to be certified in order to do it on stage. So if I have any pictures, I will put them right here of my amateur drawings. But so like I said, I had friends who did it, and I had a few of them kind of quickly show me like the steps to how to draw it, and then I would just practice backstage. But yeah, pretty doable, I would think, and I'm sure that if you had actual real training, it would be even easier. the program is awesome and the pros definitely outweigh the cons, even with custodial or with the program as a whole. But some days you're just gonna have real cruddy days, like you're not wanna go to work, you're just gonna wanna go play in the parks instead, and you're just gonna be like, oh, why am I here? Like, all I'm doing is sweeping up trash. Like, why would I want to be doing this with my time? And my advice is, on those days when you're just having a rough one, and one, choose to be happy, and two, go make a magical moment. Because I know for me, whenever I was having a bad day, I would try and make a magical moment for someone, and as soon as I did, it would turn my entire day around, and I would remember, okay, this is why I'm here. It's not all bad. I get to go play in the parks whenever I'm not working, and I get to make people happy. This was something that I always wanted. I always wanted this little name tag, and there I was wearing it every single day. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I was able to answer some of your custodial questions. If I was, make sure you hit that like button down below. If you still have some unanswered questions about custodial, leave a comment down below of your question and I will answer it in a custodial Q&A video that I am doing in about a month or so. And if you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below while you're here to join the tea party, and I'll see you next time. Bye!